You set goals and actually start working on them, even after watching every motivational video and reading all the self-help books. But you quit within days. What if the problem isn't your willpower, but a specific mental skill you were never taught? In this video, I'll share 7 mental discipline techniques backed by neuroscience that elite performers use quietly to stay consistent when everyone else gives up. I discovered these techniques after struggling with consistency for years, until I studied what separates people who finish from people who quit. The breakthrough? Discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about understanding how your brain resists change and using specific mental strategies to bypass that resistance. The problem is, most people treat discipline like a muscle you flex harder. That's why it exhausts you and fails within weeks. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to build unshakable mental discipline using psychology, not pain. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and this is the foundation everything else builds on. Most people fail at discipline because they make the same decision hundreds of times. Should I work out today? Should I eat healthy this meal? Should I work on my project now? Your brain treats each instance as a new decision, which drains mental energy every single time. This works through a concept called decision fatigue. Research from Stanford shows that your brain has limited decision-making capacity each day. Every time you decide whether to follow through on a goal, you burn willpower fuel. Elite performers don't have more willpower. They make fewer decisions. They use the pre-decision protocol, which means deciding once instead of deciding repeatedly. Here's how to apply this. First, identify your 3 most important daily disciplines. Exercise, deep work, and healthy eating are common ones. Second, make a permanent pre-decision for each one with 0 flexibility. Example: I exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. This is not a decision anymore. Third, remove the words "should I" from your vocabulary around these disciplines. You don't ask, "Should I go to work today?" Apply that same non-negotiable energy to your pre-decisions. Fourth, write your pre-decisions physically and post them where you'll see them. Your brain respects what you document. For instance, instead of waking up and thinking, "Do I feel like working out today?" which opens negotiation with your resistance, you wake up and automatically execute because the decision was made last Sunday for the entire month. But that's not all. There's a mental technique that makes pre-decisions even more powerful. This next one is crucial because it shifts discipline from something you do to something you are. Most people approach discipline as behavior modification. I need to make myself exercise. But your brain has a powerful force that overrides behavior change attempts. Your identity. If your identity is, "I'm not a morning person," you'll sabotage every attempt to wake up early, because consistent behavior must align with identity, or cognitive dissonance creates internal conflict. This mechanism works through your brain's self-concept protection system. Psychologist James Clear's research on identity-based habits shows that lasting discipline comes from identity shift, not behavior force. When you say, "I am a disciplined person," your brain actively seeks behaviors that prove that identity correct. It's the difference between "I'm trying to write" versus "I'm a writer." The second creates psychological momentum. Here's your implementation strategy. First, choose the identity that matches your discipline goal. If you want exercise consistency, the identity is "I am an athlete" or "I am someone who trains." Second, collect evidence of this identity daily. Every time you follow through, say out loud, "This is what athletes do. I am an athlete." Third, make tiny decisions throughout the day that reinforce this identity. Athletes take the stairs. Athletes drink water. Athletes go to bed early. Each micro-choice strengthens the anchor. Fourth, never say "I'm trying to be." That's identity limbo. State what you are, then prove it through action. Common mistake, choosing identities that are too distant from current reality. If you've never exercised, "I am an elite athlete" creates dissonance. Start with "I am someone who values movement" and build from there. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful that protects your discipline when motivation crashes. Most people don't know this, But discipline fails most often not from lack of motivation, but from overwhelming action thresholds. You set discipline goals that require massive activation energy. I'll work out for an hour. I'll write 2,000 words. I'll study for 3 hours. When you're tired or resistant, that threshold is too high, so you do nothing. All or nothing thinking destroys consistency. Your brain's energy conservation system says, "That's too much effort, let's skip today," and you lose your streak. This operates through the Zeigarnik effect and activation energy psychology. Research from MIT shows that starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, continuation becomes dramatically easier. The minimum viable action rule means defining the smallest possible version of your discipline that you can do even on your worst day. It's not permission to do less. It's a psychological bridge that gets you started, and starting usually leads to completing more than the minimum. Here's the exact protocol. First, for each discipline commitment, define your too easy to fail minimum. For exercise, it's put on workout clothes and do 5 minutes. For writing, it's write 1 paragraph. For studying, it's review notes for 10 minutes. Second, commit to only the minimum on resistance days. Tell yourself, I only need to do the minimum today. Third, use the 2-minute rule. If after starting your minimum you want to stop, you can, but track how often you actually stop. It's rare. Fourth, celebrate completing the minimum as a full win. You maintained your streak and identity. For instance, instead of skipping your workout because you don't have time for the full hour, you do your 5-minute minimum. This keeps your discipline streak alive, maintains your identity, and 80% of the time you'll continue past the minimum once started, because activation energy is overcome. This brings me to the next technique, and it's one of the most misunderstood aspects of discipline. This is crucial because discipline will be uncomfortable, and how you interpret that discomfort determines if you continue or quit. Most people feel discomfort during discipline, the urge to quit the workout, scroll instead of work, skip the hard task, and interpret it as, something is wrong, I should stop. Your brain's threat detection system treats discomfort as danger signals, but elite performers have a completely different relationship with discomfort. They've trained themselves to reframe discomfort as evidence of growth, not warning to stop. This mechanism functions through neuroplasticity and cognitive reframing. Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's research shows that labeling stress and discomfort changes your physiological response. When you say, I'm excited, instead of I'm anxious, your body shifts from threat mode to challenge mode. The same applies to discipline discomfort. The physical sensation is identical. Your interpretation creates the meaning. Here's how to build this skill. First, when you feel the urge to quit or skip your discipline, pause and label it physically. Say out loud, this is my brain resisting growth. This discomfort means I'm improving. Second, welcome the discomfort as a training partner. Think, if this were easy, everyone would do it. This difficulty is what makes me different. Third, track your discomfort exposure. Keep a log of every time you push through resistance. Watch this list grow. It's proof of your expanding capacity. Fourth, practice discomfort meditation. Intentionally expose yourself to small discomforts daily. Cold shower, uncomfortable conversation, physical challenge, to train this reframing muscle in low-stakes environments. Common pitfall: confusing discomfort with pain or injury. Discomfort is mental resistance and muscle fatigue. Pain is your body's warning system. Learn to distinguish between I don't want to and I'm injuring myself. But wait, there's more to this story. Your environment is quietly sabotaging your discipline without you realizing it. Now, you might be thinking, I already know about willpower, but this is different, and it explains why discipline feels impossible in your current environment. Discipline is not a character trait you either have or don't have. It's the result of environmental friction management. Every discipline goal has two forces: activation friction, how hard it is to start, and distraction friction, how hard it is to get pulled away. Most people have high activation friction for good habits and low distraction friction for bad habits. Your phone is within arm's reach, low friction distraction, but your running shoes are in the closet, high activation friction. You're engineering yourself to fail. This principle works through the path of least resistance psychology. Research from Duke University shows that 45% of daily behaviors are habitual and driven by environmental cues, not conscious choice. Your brain is lazy. It follows the easiest available path. If scrolling is easier than reading, your brain defaults to scrolling. Friction engineering means intentionally making good disciplines easier, low activation friction, and bad habits harder, high distraction friction. Here's your environmental audit protocol. First, identify your 3 most important disciplines and your 3 biggest discipline destroyers, usually phone, snacks, TV. Second, reduce activation friction for disciplines. Put workout clothes beside your bed. Keep your journal and pen on your pillow. Place your book where you usually put your phone. Make the first step of each discipline require 0 setup. Third, increase distraction friction dramatically. Put your phone in another room in a drawer. Delete social media apps and only access through browser. Unplug your TV and remove the batteries from the remote. Make distractions require effort. Fourth, create discipline zones in your environment. One space is only for deep work, another only for exercise, another only for rest. Your brain learns these contextual cues. For instance, instead of relying on willpower to avoid your phone during work, you lock it in your car trunk during work hours. The friction isn't about restriction, it's about protecting your discipline from the path of least resistance. This philosophy connects directly to our next mental discipline technique, and this one ties everything together. This is the mental discipline that ties everything together, and once you understand it, motivation becomes almost irrelevant. Most people rely on motivatio, N, to fuel discipline, but motivation is emotional and unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Elite performers build discipline through streak momentum, the psychological force that builds when you maintain consistency. After 3 days of consistency, you have mild momentum. After 7 days, moderate. After 30 days, strong. After 90 days, your streak becomes almost impossible to break because your brain assigns tremendous value to not breaking it. This mechanism operates through the sunk cost effect and psychological ownership. Research from behavioral economics shows that humans hate losing streaks more than they love winning new achievements. Once you've invested 15 consecutive days in a discipline, the pain of breaking that streak tomorrow becomes a powerful motivator that's independent of how you feel. Your brain thinks, I don't want to throw away 15 days of work by skipping today. Here's how to harness this. First, pick one discipline to build your first streak. Don't try 3 simultaneously. That divides your focus. Choose the keystone discipline that will create the most impact. Second, mark every single day you completed visually. Physical calendars with big red X's work better than apps because they're visible. Put that calendar somewhere you see it multiple times daily. Third, focus on don't break the chain. Your only job is don't let a day go blank. Even if you only do your minimum viable action, mark that day. Fourth, if you do break a streak, immediately restart the next day. Don't waste time on guilt. Start streak 2.0 immediately. Fifth, once you hit 30 days, add your second discipline. Stack streaks. Don't start them all at once. Common mistake. Breaking your streak and thinking, I already failed, might as well quit for the week. The difference between 29 days of success and 1 day of failure is massive. Restart immediately. And here's the beautiful part. When you combine streak momentum with identity anchoring, something powerful happens. This final technique is what separates people who maintain discipline for months from people who maintain it for years. Most people execute disciplines but never reflect on why they're doing it or how it's changing them. Without reflection, discipline becomes mechanical and meaningless, which makes it unsustainable. Your brain needs to connect action to purpose and progress, or it labels the activity as pointless effort and creates resistance. The reflection ritual loop is a daily practice that hardwires your disciplines into deep meaning. This operates through the psychological concept of meaning-making and progress principle. Research from Harvard Business School shows that progress principle is the #1 motivator for sustained effort, seeing evidence that your work matters. Reflection creates this evidence. When you reflect on how today's disciplines served your bigger identity and goals, your brain releases dopamine and reinforces the behavior loop. Here's your exact daily ritual. First, spend 3 minutes every evening, set a calendar reminder, reviewing your discipline actions. Write or speak out loud. Today, this proves I am. Identity. This moved me closer to long-term goal. Second, note how the discipline felt. Today's workout was hard, but I did it anyway. That's growth. Acknowledging difficulty you overcame builds confidence. Third, plan tomorrow's disciplines in this same session. Tomorrow, I will specific action at specific time. This activates the pre-decision protocol. Fourth, weekly review every Sunday. Look at your streak calendar and reflect on the compound effect. I exercised 6 out of 7 days this week. That's 24 workouts this month I didn't do last month. For instance, instead of just checking off workout complete and moving on. You spend 90 seconds connecting. I worked out today even though I was tired. This proves I'm becoming an athlete. This workout strengthened my heart and built discipline I'll use in my business. I'm proud of myself. That reflection loop makes tomorrow's discipline easier because it's loaded with meaning. Let's quickly review what we covered today, because these 7 mental disciplines are the exact system that separates consistent performers from chronic starters. Number 1, the pre-decision protocol. Decide once, execute forever. Number 2, the identity anchor method. Shift from doing to being. Number 3, the minimum viable action rule. Make starting too easy to skip. Number 4, the discomfort reframe system. Treat resistance as growth evidence. Number 5, the friction engineering principle. Design your environment to support discipline. Number 6, the streak momentum method. Harness psychological ownership of consistency. Number 7, the reflection ritual loop. Connect daily actions to deep meaning. Remember, discipline isn't about forcing yourself through misery. It's about understanding exactly how your brain works and using specific mental strategies to align your actions with your identity. You have everything you need to build unshakable consistency. You just needed the mental framework nobody teaches. Don't wait until Monday or when you feel ready to start. Your pre-decision protocol begins right now. Choose one discipline, define your minimum viable action, and mark day 1 on your calendar today. I promise you, 90 days from now when you have an unbroken streak, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point. If you found this framework valuable, hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to share this with others struggling with consistency. Subscribe and turn on notifications because I break down mental performance systems like this every week that actually work. Drop a comment telling me which of these 7 techniques you're implementing first. I read every single comment, and I'm genuinely curious which one resonates most. And if you want to learn the specific daily routine that elite performers use to automate discipline, check out the video I'm linking right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.